just after signing the divorce agreement, I liquidated all my shares. Overnight, 4 days later, my ex-wife, worth billions, took over the entire conglomerate when the board urged me to come back for the paperwork. I was on a beach in Sonia, sipping coconut water. Shaichuan, sign this, and the house on. Jiangwan is yours, plus 3 million. Gun. Yenwi's tone was like a cold front, sweeping through, dry, crisp, utterly devoid of human warmth. I looked at the divorce agreement she pushed over. Beside the limited edition pen were her impeccably manicured hands. 3 years of marriage, and it felt like the first time I'd looked at her so quietly. No anger, no resentment, not even the dull ache in my chest. Just one feeling, the iron plate that had been pressing down on me for 3 years was finally being pried open. I picked up the pen. My hand was as steady as the table in the husband column. I signed my name. Neat, swift, one stroke to the end, like rushing to an escape. That was 3 years overdue. Gun Yenwi's eyelashes fluttered. She clearly hadn't expected me to sign so fast. She probably thought I'd beg, make a scene, or like countless times before, humbly say, give me one more chance. I didn't give her room to speak. I pushed the signed agreement back, stood up, and didn't even look back. Goodbye. No, never see you again. Walking out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, the early May sun was blinding. The air no longer carried her refined perfume. It was so clean it made me want to laugh. I pulled out my phone and dialed a number. Lin Hao, my assistant of 8 years, answered after half a ring. Brother Chuan, you tell Chun Yen to dump all my shares in the Gu Group by the end of today. There was a two-conned silence on the other end. All of them. Not a single share left. Brother Chuan, Gu stock is at a high right now. Your shares together are worth about I know what they're worth. I cut him off. Exactly because it's at a high. We sell today. LYNH Howden asked further after 8 years with me. He knew one thing best. When I say all, I mean all. Got it. I'll arrange it immediately. I hung up, tossed the phone into my pocket, and hailed a taxi on the roadside to the airport. The driver glanced at me in the rear view mirror. Which terminal? International. 20 minutes later, I stood in the departure hall. On the screen in front of me, the flight to Sonia still had a few seats left. I pulled out my ID and bought a first-class ticket. My phone buzzed. A message from Lin Hao. Chang Yan has started the operation. Expected to clear everything before market close today. At current prices, total cash out is estimated at 113 billion. I glanced at it and locked the screen. 1 billion. Sounded like a lot, but compared to what I was about to do, it was just a drop in the bucket at the boarding gate. I pulled out my old SIM card and swapped in a new number. The number Gunin Wei had saved for 3 years was now a deadline from this moment on. As the plane took off, I leaned back in my seat and closed my eyes. The last image flashing through my mind was from the wedding 3 years ago. Gun Yini Inhev, custom wedding dress, smiled gracefully and said to all the guests, he may come from an ordinary background, but I value his talent. Talent? Huh? She would never know who the man she called ordinary background really was, and she didn't need to know any more. The plane pierced through the clouds. The cabin announcement sounded. I opened my eyes to see vast stretches of white outside. The window, clean like a blank sheet of paper, landing in Sonia. Osin Osmai. Phone connected to the signal. Lin Hao's call came through. Brother Chuan. All cleared. 114 billion. The tail end rallied a bit. A little over 10 million. More than estimated. But he paused. It looks like all hell broke loose over. At Goose. It has nothing to do with me. Gu Wei had her assistant call the company 17 times asking about your equity transfer. She wants you back. Within 3 days to handle the handover. I'm Insha. I know. Then tell her people. They can't find me. Chuang Gu. There's one more thing. Lin Hao lowered his voice. This afternoon, the Gu Corporation issued an internal announcement. Guy is officially taken over as group president. The interim one was removed, and the first document she signed froze all your permissions within. The Gu Group. I let out a laugh. Freeze. What? I don't have a single share left. She's freezing nothing. That's the thing. She only realized you'd already liquidated everything after she signed. Word as her face went pale. Then what? Then Xiao Ming Xian went to her office and stayed for 40 minutes. Xiao Ming Xian, vice president of the Gu Group. A family friend of the Gus and Gun. Yenwi's childhood sweetheart. For the past 3 years, he'd been the biggest thorn in my side. So he went. I said, from today on, don't report anything about the Gu Group to me anymore. Got it. Lin Hao paused for 3 seconds. Chuan Gu, what about Xing Yuan? Xing Yuan Technology. Those 3 words. I hadn't mentioned them in front of anyone for 3 years. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning, patch me through to Chengyi's encrypted line. All right. I hung up outside the hotel's floor too. Ceiling windows. The sunset was melting into the sea. I opened the minibar, grabbed a bottle of water, and stood by the window. 3 years. I'd spent 3 years as a living son-in-law of the Gu family, enduring 3 years of cold stares and 3 years of sneers. Guy, Yenwei's mother, Shang Leiwa, never missed a family dinner without saying in front of everyone, Naiwi is too kind. If it weren't for her, how would Xiaoan have the life he has today? Gun Yanni's younger brother, Gun Yenqin, just last month pointed at my nose at a banquet and said, brother, what can you do besides leech off my sister? Even the intern at the company's front desk looked at me with a subtle pity. Ridiculous. The Shinikyuan they saw, nobody with no family background, no connections, a loser living off his wife, was just a shell I crafted with my own hands 3 years ago. What was inside that shell? They didn't even deserve a glimpse. I took a sip of water. A push notification popped up on my phone. Gu Group in major shakeup. Founder's daughter Gu Yinwi officially takes helm. Former son-in-law reportedly liquidates shares and leaves with nothing. Leaves with nothing. Those words amuse me. They thought that 9% stake in the Gu Group was my entire fortune. They didn't know that 9% was just a pawn I casually tossed into the Gu Group when I got married. My phone buzzed again. An unfamiliar number. Area code. The capital. I picked up President Shun. Long time no see. A deep male. Voice tinged with a hint of amusement. Xing Yuan's quarterly report is out. Should I email it to you or fly over in person to brief you? I gazed at the darkening sky outside the window. Email it. Feng. All right. One more thing. Fun's tone shifted. The invitation for the May 4th Youth Innovation Summit came to Xing Yuan. Again this year, the organizing committee specifically requested the company's founder to attend. I turned it down as usual on your behalf. But this year is a bit different. How so? This year's summit added a co-host. The Gu Group Yinwi personally signed the cooperation agreement. My hand holding the water bottle paused for a second and Feng continued. This year's keynote speaker list includes Xiaoing Xianim. Yes, he registered a speech topic as Vice President of the GU Group called. The breakthrough path of young entrepreneurs. I couldn't help but laugh. Xiao Ming Zen, the guy who can't even read a financial statement, is going to talk about breakthrough paths at the Youth Innovation Summit. Got it, President Shun, about the summit. I'll think it over. I hung up and set down my water bottle. May 4th 20. Days left. That's enough. The next morning at 10, the encrypted line connected. Chung Yan's voice came through the receiver. Horse season, like sandpaper scraping iron. Boss, finally got your call. Chung Yan was the CFO of Star Biz Technology and the third person after Fong Hai and Lin Hao to know my true identity. All the GU Group shares cleared out clean as a whistle. Good. I don't need that money. Inject it directly into Star Business Strategic Investment Account. 1.1 billion. All of it. Too little. Chung Yen chuckled. Not too little. Just think. You're being generous. 1.1 billion. Tossed away like buying a cup of coffee. What's Star Business balance now? As of yesterday's close. Market cap is 42 billion. Cash reserves 8.3 billion. 42 billion. 7 times the size of the GU Group and this company. From day one. No, one knows who the founder is. On all public documents. The founder column of Star Biz Technology reads just 3 words. Anonymous holder. Chung Yan, I need you to do something. Name it. Look into someone. Xiaoming. Xin. I want all his business records. From the past 5 years. Company dealings. Cash flows. How detailed. Detailed. Enough to know how many pairs of shoes he bought. Give me 48 hours. 24 deal. I hung up, changed into shorts and slippers, and headed downstairs to the beach. The sand wasn't crowded. I grabbed a lounge chair, ordered an iced drink, and put on my sunglasses. My phone rang again. This time it was Lin Hao Chuangu. We've got trouble talk. Gun Yin, we froze the Jiangwan property. Under your name. On what grounds? She says the divorce agreement has an addendum. Property transfer requires both parties to be present since you're not around. She applied for asset preservation, citing failure to fulfill handover obligations. I took off my sunglasses. She doesn't want me to have it easy. The lawyer says this freeze can last up to 6 months. But if you don't go back to handle it, she can drag it out forever. Let her drag it. Huh, it's just a property. If freezing it makes her happy, let it freeze. But Schwango, that property is worth over 30 million on the market. Lin Hao, I cut him off. Do you know why I divorced her? Not really. Because in that house, I was treated worse than a dog. Silence on the other. And her mom made me serve tea and water. And I did. Her brother made me show for his friends, and I did. She put me in a dead-end job at the company, clocking in at 9 o'clock and leaving at 6 o'clock every day. And I did it for 3 years. I paused. 3 years. I never spent a dime of her money. Every month, I handed my paycheck over to her untouched. The allowance she gave me, 5.000, was enough for the cafeteria. And the subway, Chuangu, now she freezes. A 30 million property, thinking she's got me by the balls. I put my sunglasses back on, let her keep thinking that. Understood. Anything else? Lin hesitated. Gun Inchin posted something on his moments today. What did he say? He said, some people think selling a few lousy shares will turn things around. But they don't know their place. Without my sister, you can't even afford a meal. Take a screenshot. Huh, save it. You'll need it later. Day 3 in. Sonia Chung Yan's investigation report arrived. An encrypted email 47 pages, plus a compressed folder. I sat at the hotel desk reading through a page by page. Xiao Zhen, 32 years old from the capital, graduated from a well-known domestic business school. His resume looked impressive on the surface, but a closer look revealed it was all fluff. He owned 3 companies. 2 were losing money, and 1 survived solely on orders from the GU Group. The most interesting part was page 31. 2 years ago, Xiao Xian, in his personal capacity, borrowed 80 million from an offshore company for an undisclosed purpose. The loan remains unpaid to this day. The actual controller of that offshore company, untraceable, but the funds ultimately flowed into an account under a company called Shining Investment. The legal representative of Shining Investment, Xiao Mingwen's mother. I closed my laptop. 80 million under the table dealings, funds funneled back into his own company. If the source of that money was kickbacks from suppliers to the GU Group, then Xiao Mingxian wasn't just some childhood friend. He was a parasite. I picked up the phone and called Fong Hai. I'll attend the summit on May 4th. Fun paused on the other end for a second. You're going in person. In person? In what capacity? As the founder of Xingyuan Technology. Fong's breathing audibly quickened. President Shun, are you sure? Once you show your face publicly, the entire industry will I know for 3 years? Everyone's been guessing who founded Xingyuan. The rumor mill has spun 100 versions, and not one of them landed on you. If you go public now, it'll be like laying all my cards on the table. I said, but some cards lose their edge if you hold them too long. Understood. I'll confirm with the organizing committee right away. One more thing. Go ahead. Order me a suit. I haven't worn formal wear in 3 years. My measurements might have changed. Fong He chuckled. Got it. I'll have someone take your measurements. After hanging up, I walked out to the balcony. In the distance, a white yacht was gliding slowly across the sea. 20 days from now, at the May 4th Youth Innovation Summit, Gun Yenny would be in the audience and Xiao Mingxian would be on stage. And I'd show them exactly who that washed-up loser who left with nothing really was. No ruse. The best shows take time. Day 7. I'd had enough of Sonia and flew back to Jiangchun. Not back to the GU family home. Back to my own place in the heart of Jiang at Lanyu Bay. A private villa with no nameplate. I'd bought this place 3 years ago. Paid in full 78 million. It's registered under Sheng Yuan Technology, and no one knows I live here. Lin Hao was waiting at the door, holding a stack of documents. Chuan Gu, you're back. Yeah, I changed my shoes and sat down in the living room. What's up? 2 things. One good, one bad. Bad. One first. Gun Yenwei traced the flow of your stock sale proceeds. I raised an eyebrow. How did she find out? She had the GU Group's legal department track the brokerage transaction records. They found that your shares were taken over by 3 institutions, and one of them has a parent company registered in the Cayman Islands, and she suspects you have someone backing you. What she suspects doesn't matter. What did she actually find so far? Only the name of that Cayman shell company, Yuaning Holdings. I smiled. Yuaning Holdings, the overseas investment platform for Xingyuan Technology. When I registered it, I deliberately reversed the characters of Xingyuan. Let's see if she can connect those 2 names. What about the other one? The good news. Lin Hao handed me a document. The new generation AI chip from Xingyuan passed the final approval from the Ministry of Industry and Information. Technology today. The mass production. License has officially been granted. I took the document and flipped through a couple of pages. The bright red official seal was stamped on it. This chip, my team, and I had polished it for 4 years. For the first 3 years, everyone thought I was just a slacker in the goo group, clocking in and out on time every day, like a transparent fixture. No one knew that every night at 9 o'clock after leaving the Goo family villa, I would drive to an unremarkable office building in the southern part of the city and hold meetings with Xing Yuan's Randy team until dawn for years over .400 nights. From concept to tape out to packaging to testing, I oversaw every step. What about the mass production plan? The first production line is ready. Shipments are expected to start next month. The initial orders come from 3 international clients with a total contract value. He flipped a page. $27 billion. Good. I set the document down at the summit on May 4th. I'll officially announce this. Announce it at the summit? Yes. The venue is big enough. The crowd is large enough and the media coverage is comprehensive enough. Lin Hao glanced at me. Brother, Chuan, are you deliberately choosing this occasion? What do you think? He didn't ask again. On the 10th day, an unexpected visitor showed up. Not at Lan, Yu Bei, but at the coffee shop where I was hanging out. I was sitting in an unremarkable cafe in Zhang's old district, a printed newspaper spread out. In front of me, the door swung open. A woman in a beige trench coat walked in. Short hair, light makeup, a sharp and cold demeanor. Go Yan, my ex-wife. She scanned the place, her gaze landing on me, pausing for a second. Then she walked straight over and sat down across from me. You sure know how to hide, she said, her voice still in that same tone, neither high nor low, like she was reporting on work. I'm not hiding, just didn't want to be found. Same thing. She looked me over. You've lost weight, better meals, but still thinner. She didn't take the bait. Instead, she pulled a document out of her bag. The shares you sold. 3 institutions took them over. One of them is registered in the Cayman Islands, called Yuaning Holdings. She stared at me. What's your connection to this company? None. Shinowin. She slapped the document on the table. Don't play games with me. Yuaning Holdings was established just 3 days before you dump your shares with a registered capital of $1 million and no operating history. Yet, it gobbled up 4% of your stake. Tell me, you didn't arrange this. I took a sip of coffee. You came all this way just to ask me that. I came to ask what the hell you're up to. We're already divorced. President. Good. The word divorce caused a momentary crack in her expression, but just a moment. She quickly reverted to that aloof demeanor. The matter of the shares involves the interests of the Goo group. It has nothing to do with whether we're divorced or not. What interests of yours are involved? The shares I held were legally acquired and legally transferred with lawyers and brokers, backing every step. If you have a problem, you can take it to court. But let me warn you about one thing. I set down my coffee cup. If you really want to dig into Yuaning Holdings background, I suggest you don't. Why? Because what you find might not be what you want to see. Gunning with pupils. Contracted? What do you mean by that? Exactly what I said. I stood up, tossed a 100 yuan bill on the table. Coffee's on me. Take your time. President. Good. Yuan. She called out behind me. I didn't turn around. Pushing open the cafe door, I stepped out into a light drizzle. I hadn't brought an umbrella, so I just walked into the rain. No footsteps followed me out. As Expected. Gun Yenwei would never lose. Her composure in public. She would suppress all her anger and confusion, take them back to the office, analyze them bit by bit, and trace them layer by layer. But the deeper she dug, the closer she would get to that answer, the one she would never see coming back at. Lang Yu Bei. My clothes were soaked through. I changed into something dry and sat by the floor to ceiling window. My phone rang. It wasn't Lin Hao. It wasn't Sheng Yan. It was a number I'd saved for years. Suchi, my roommate for my days studying the U.S. and the co-founder of Xingyuan Technology. Old. Shun, I heard you finally got that. Divorce. Word travels fast. No kidding. It's all over the place. The live-in. Son-in-law of the Gu family walked away with nothing. A joke trending on the hot search. Let them laugh. You've held out for 3 years. That's enough. So, what's the next move? May 4th, the Youth Innovation Summit. I plan to show up. There was silence on the other end for 3 seconds. Are you insane? You're really going public? Yeah, the moment you do, the entire tech world will shake. Xing, Yuan's market cap has multiplied 6 times in 3 years, and everyone's been guessing who's behind it. Suddenly, telling them it's a live-in son-in-law who got kicked out by his ex-wife. Just picture that scene. I've pictured it. Old Shun, Suchi's tone turned serious. You know, once your identity is out, how will the Gu family react? I don't care how they react. Then what do you care about? I stare at the rain outside the window. What I care about is the 3 years I wasted. Suchi didn't respond. In those 3 years, I could have taken Xing Yuan much further, but I chose to stay in the shadows to be a ghost because I thought that marriage was worth the sacrifice, and now I know it wasn't. Oh, right. Suchi took a deep breath. Then, let me do one thing for you. What? The day you show up, I'll fly back, stunned, right next to you. Let them see. The 2 founders of Xingyuan. One's a PhD back from Silicon Valley. The others, the pathetic live-in son-in-law they've been mocking. You're in San Francisco. Flying back is a hassle. Don't be polite with me. I've been waiting for the scene for 3 years. Missing it would haunt me for life. I smiled. Then come. Oh, one more thing. Sue. Chi's tone suddenly turned. Ot, your ex-wife. Didn't she just land? Some tech innovation cooperation project? You mean the co-hosting of the May 4th summit? No, I mean another one. She seems to be negotiating a smart city. Mega deal with Gaian Technology. Big money. I heard over 100 billion. My hand froze for a moment. Source. Someone from Gaian tipped me off. They said the technical proposal Goose team put forward includes several core patents. Suchi paused. Old Shun, those patents look awfully familiar to me. Spell it out. The Gaian guy sent me a summary of the proposal. There are 2 patents about city-level IoT architecture. I checked the patent. Numbers. He took a breath. There's Xing Yuanson's. My mind went blank for a second. Xing Yuan's patents are in Gu's commercial proposal. Exactly. And it's not a citation. They're placed directly under the independent RAND section. You're sure? I verified it 3 times. The patent numbers match perfectly. They just stripped out the inventor info and replaced it with the Gu RAND department's name. I switched the phone to my left hand and pressed my right hand against the desk. My knuckles turned white 3 years. During those 3 years, I was on the payroll at Goose's company, clocking in at 9 o'clock and leaving at 6 o'clock every day. During this period, Goo Corporation's technical department called me in for countless meetings, claiming they wanted to consult on some technical direction issues. I thought they were just routine business exchanges, even out of goodwill, sharing some of Star Abyss's internal research, ideas with them as personal opinions. I never imagined they would steal these things. Old Shun, you still there? I'm here. My voice was so flat it even felt alien to me. Do me a favor. Send me the full summary of the National Alliance proposal, then notify the legal department to initiate the patent infringement evidence collection process. You're going to sue. No rules. First, gather evidence. When do you plan to strike? May 4th. You're really going to detonate all the bombs at the summit, not detonate. I stood up. It's diffusing. Some bombs hidden in the dark. Only blow up our own people. Bring them to the table, and they'll hit the ones who deserve it. Suchi laughed on the other end of the line. Fine. Your call. April 30th. I'll land in Jang. Good. I hung up. I stood in my villa at Langyu Bay for a long time. The rain outside had stopped. A crack opened in the clouds, and the light of the setting sun streamed through the gap, hitting the living room floor. The patent theft was 10.000 times more serious than the divorce. If Goo Corporation used Star Abyss's core patents to secure the National Alliance tens of billions in orders, once it was exposed, it wouldn't just be a matter of infringement, compensation. The entire technical barrier of Star Abyss in industry could be torn open. I couldn't let that happen. But what bothered me more was another question. The people in Goo Corporation's technical department who came to consult on me, did they act on their own or were they directed, and if directed by whom? I picked up my phone and sent a message to Chung Yen. Has Xiao Ming Xian been involved in the technical Randy sector within Goo Corporation over the past 2 years? The reply came quickly. Yes. Last year he proposed a technology innovation acceleration plan bringing in a batch of technical consultants who reported directly to him. What was the budget for this plan? 200 million. How much was spent on paper? 180 million. But we checked and less than 50 million was actually used for Randy. Where the remaining 130 million go? It went through 7 or 8 outsourcing companies, most of which were shells, the actual controllers of those shell companies. Not clear yet, but 2 of them are registered in the same building as Shin Chung Investment, Shining Investment, the company under Xiaoming's mother's name. I leaned back in my chair and closed my eyes. The puzzle was becoming clearer. Xiaoming, Shin wasn't just a parasite. He was a snake hiding inside Goo Corporation. On one hand, he was draining the company's money. On the other, he was stealing external technology to negotiate a tens of billion-dollar deal with a national alliance. If the deal went through, the credit would be his. If it fell apart, the blame would fall on Goo Corporation. And Gun Inwei, my ex-wife, was kept in the dark the entire time. Should I tell her? The thought lingered in my mind for 3 seconds before I dismissed it. No, not out of resentment, but because some lessons, when told by others, you never believe. Only when you crash into them yourself do they sink into your bones. 3 days later, a piece of news exploded in Jang's business circles. Mystery company Star Abyss Technology surpasses a valuation of 50 billion yuan, overtaking local giant Goo Corporation as the biggest dark horse. According to insiders, the company's founder will make their first public appearance at the May 4th Youth Innovation Summit. As soon as the news broke, the entire city buzzed with one question: who is the founder of Star Abyss? And at that moment, this mystery founder wearing Slippers was cooking noodles in the kitchen of Lan Yu Bei. Lin Hao stood to the side, his expression complicated. Chuan Gu, did Fong he leak the news? Yeah, just baiting the hook first. The whole city is guessing your identity. Now, the Gu family is in chaos. 2. They just released a statement as a co-organizer, saying they'd solemnly welcome the founder of Xingyuan Technology to attend the summit. Did Gun Inwi send it personally? Yeah. She even added a line in the statement, looking forward to exploring innovative collaborations with industry leaders. I scooped out the noodles and drizzled some soy sauce over them. She has no idea who she's solemnly welcoming. True. Any other news? Xiao Mingxian gave an interview to a financial media outlet. Today, the reporter asked what he thought of Xingyuan technology, and he said Lin Hao glanced at his phone. He said, a company like Xingyuan relies on capital hype with no real technological barriers. Truly capable enterprises like the Gu family are the backbone of the industry. I took a bite of the noodles right after he said that. The voice assistant on his phone, I paused, was developed by Xing Yuan. Lin Hao couldn't help but laugh. Chuanu, how do you even know that Xing Yuan's voice assistant has a global installation base of 400 million devices? It's a probability thing. I finished the noodles and wiped my mouth. Help me set up a meeting with someone tomorrow. Who? The former head of the Gu family's tech department. Shunwei, the one Xiao Xian pushed out last year. You want to see him? He should have what? I need, the next afternoon, a tea house in the old district of Chongqing. Chun Wei looked even more worn out than I, remembered in his early 40s. His hair was already half gray with dark circles, clearly visible under his eyes. When he saw me, he froze for 2 seconds, then gave a bitter smile. President Shun, no, you're just call me Shinikyuan. How did you find me? Not hard, after you were let go by the Gu family. You registered a small tech consulting company in Jiang, with an office in the West City's tech park. He was even more startled. You even looked into that. Engineer Chun. I didn't come here to catch up. I cut straight to the point. How much do you know about Xiaoing's technology? Innovation acceleration plan from last year? Chini's expression shifted. He glanced around the tea house and lowered his voice. Why are you asking about this? Just tell me what you know. He was silent for over 10 seconds. I don't know much, but I was fired because of it. Go on. Last March, Xiao Mingxian suddenly brought a group of people into the tech department, calling them an externally recruited expert team. Once they came in, they took direct control of the technical data for 3 core projects. What kind of data? IoT protocol, architecture, edge computing solutions. And he looked at me and that framework for a city-loose sensor network he shared with us before I didn't say anything. Shin Iwan, that framework, we all knew it. Wasn't something you just came up with. Casually, it was too mature, too complete. It didn't look like a directional suggestion someone just threw out. Offhand, did you ask back then? Did you? Said it was inspired by a few papers, but I'm a tech guy, I could tell that thing. Had at least 3 years of systematic Randy behind it, and then Xiao Ming. Schwann's people took all the data saying they needed to integrate and evaluate. A month later, I found that data in a technical proposal for an external bid with the inventor information. Change. He clenched his teacup tightly. I went to confront Xiao Xian. He said it was all Gu Corporation's intellectual property and told me to mind my own business. I didn't buy it. So I went to Gaunyani. What did she say? She said she'd look into it. And then the next day, Xiao Mingxian fired me for leaking trade secrets. Guy didn't stop him. I nodded. Not surprising. Gun. Wei wasn't a bad person, but she had a fatal flaw. She trusted Xiao Ming Zen. Too much. Trust built from growing up. Together trumped any evidence. Engineer Chun, when you were fired, did you keep any backups? Backups of what? Those tampered technical documents. Do you still have the original versions? Chun, Wei stared at me for a long time. What exactly are you trying to do? I want to return those things to their rightful owner. Rightful owner? Who's that? I didn't answer that question. Do you have the originals or not? He pulled a USB drive for his pocket. The night I was fired, I made a copy. He placed the drive on the table and slid it toward me. I've kept this for a year. I thought about reporting it, but as a fired junior manager, no one would believe me. I picked up the drive. Someone believes. You now. Who were you? You'll know after May 4th. I stood up and left a business card. On it was just a name and a phone number. The name Shinikyuan. The phone number. The direct line to the CEO of Xingyuan Technology. Chunwei turned the card over and over, staring at it, not getting it. No surprise. No one in the world knew that the owner of that number was a mysterious founder. May 1st, Labor Day. 3 days until the summit. The entire business circle of Jiangqing was buzzing with hype for the May 4th summit in the media's relentless coverage. 3 names appeared most frequently. First, Xingyuan Technology. Second, Gu Corporation. Third, Xiao Mingxian. Xiao Mingwen's recent exposure was abnormally high. He showed up everywhere, gave interviews, and had already become the poster boy for Gu Corporation's new generation leader. One outlet even ran a headline. Xiaoming, Xian from childhood friend to business partner. His chemistry with Gun Wei is Gu Corporation's greatest asset. I was watering the flowers in the yard of Langyu Bay when I saw that news. Lin Hao, read it out loud to me. Brother Chuan, what do you think's really going on between him and Gun Wei? Doesn't matter, but everyone's saying they're about to go public with their relationship. Lin Hao, here I'm watering the flowers. Don't ruin the mood. He shut up after watering. I went back to the study. 3 documents were spread out on the desk. First, Xingyuan Technology's legal department's patent infringement evidence report, 83 pages, each with timestamps and notarization numbers. Second, Chung Yan's compiled map of Xiao Mingwen's capital chain, from Xinqing investment to offshore companies, every transaction's origin and destination clearly marked. Third, the original technical data from the USB drive. Cheney gave me compared item by item with the proposal Gu Corporation submitted to Guyan Technology. 97 overlaps, 0 reasonable explanations, 3 bombs. Enough. I picked up the phone and called Fanghai. Are the summit arrangements confirmed? Confirmed. Opening at 9 a.m. on May 4th. Your slot is an industry leader dialogue. Segment at 2 p.m. 45 minutes. 45 minutes. Is that enough? More than enough. One more thing. President Chun. The organizing committee password. That Gun Yen requested Xiaoing speech be scheduled before your slot at 1 o'clock p.m. She knows that industry leader dialogue. Guessed as me. I don't know. The organizing committee kept it confidential until the very last moment, just as you requested. The guest list only said, founder of Star Abyss Technology, no real name. Then why did she move up Xiao Mingwen's segment? Supposedly, Xiao Mingxian asked for it himself. He wanted to go on stage before the Star Abyss founder made their debut to build momentum for the Gu Group. I smiled. Build momentum before my debut. Fine. Let him perform first before the audience takes their seats. You always need a warm-up clown. May 2nd, Tsuchi landed in Jang. He'd flown 14 hours from San Francisco and came straight to Lon. You bay after getting off the plane the moment the door opened. His first words were, "Nice place you got here. 70,078,000. All right, I don't get the joys of being rich." He walked in, glanced around the living room, and plopped down on the sofa. "Spill it, May 4th. What's the exact plan?" I slid the 3 files across to him. After flipping through the first one, he cursed. After the second, he cursed. Again, after the third, he slapped the files down on the coffee table. "This Xiao Minjian, he's got some nerve. Patent, theft, fund embezzlement, money laundering through shell companies. That's a 3-year sentence on one charge alone. So, I need you to do one thing." "What?" "At the summit on May 4th, I'll reveal my identity first. Then, in front of everyone, I'll release the first piece of evidence." "What about the second and third?" "The second goes to the Economic Crime Investigation Unit. The third stays for the court." "You're not dropping everything at once." "No." I sat down across from him. "The first piece is enough to ruin Xiao Mingzhen on the spot. The second and third are meant to put him behind bars. The public can feast on the drama, but sentencing has to follow due process." Suchi stared at me for 3 seconds. "You've changed." "Change how?" "The old Shinikyun was a Purete geek. Chips, code, lab work. You never bothered with all these scheming twists and turns. People have to grow up. It's not about growing up." He shook his head. "It's that those 3 years force you to." I didn't argue. He was right. If it weren't for those 3 years of cold stares and humiliation, I probably would never have learned how to fight people. "One more thing. Go on. Guy will be at the summit." 2. Suchi raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean by that?" "I mean, after Xiaoing's mess is exposed, the Goo Group will take a hit. Stock prices might drop. Public opinion might collapse. And you're still going to release it." "Yes, but I don't want to drag innocent people down. The Goo Group has over 30,000 employees. They didn't do anything wrong. So I'm thinking, when I drop the first bomb, should I leave a buffer for Guin Wei?" Suchi stared at me for a long moment. "Old Shun, do you still care about her?" "No, I don't." "Then why?" "Because she just misjudged someone. She's not a bad person. Misjudging someone should mean 30,000 employees. Get buried with her." Suchi thought it over. "Then send an anonymous summary of the third piece of evidence to her. Office 24 hours early. Give her a day to react. If she's smart, she can cut Xiaoing Xian loose before the summit. And if she doesn't believe it, then that's her problem. You've done your part." I nodded. "Fine. Have it delivered on the night of May 3, our RD May 3rd night, and signed letter was delivered to the Group CEO's office by courier. Inside the envelope were just 3 sheets of paper. The first, a detailed record of fund flows between Xiaoing Xing Investment and the Group suppliers. The second, a diagram showing the real destination of the 200 million budget from Zio England's technology innovation acceleration plan. The third, a single sentence: "You should take a closer look at the people around you. I don't know how Gaonin we will react when she sees the letter, but I know that in 24 hours, every mystery will be unraveled, whether she believes it or not." May 4th, Youth Innovation Summit, 7 in the morning, Liu Bei. I stand before the full-length mirror in the dressing room. The dark gray suit custom ordered by Fong. "Hi, Fits perfectly. The shirt is light blue. No, dear. For the first time in 3 years, I'm wearing formal attire. The person in the mirror is a far cry from the meek, submissive living son-in-law of the Gu family 3 years ago. Lin Hao waits at the door. Xuan, the cars. Ready? Where's Suchi? He went to the venue ahead of time, doing final equipment checks with Fong Hai and Shun. Yen, the legal team is in place. The materials for the economic investigation unit are ready to be handed over. Anytime. I adjust my cuffs. Let's go. As the car pulls out of Langy Bay, I glance at the villa in the rear view mirror. After today, I won't need to hide in any shell anymore. The summit is held at the Jiangqing International Convention Center. It's a high-profile event. Attendees include government, officials, industry tycoons, executives from listed companies, top media, reporters, and a crowd of onlookers. The main hall seats nearly 2,000 people. My car stops at the VIP entrance. Lin Hao and Fong Hai are waiting at the gate. Fong Hai hands me a guest badge. It reads, Industry Leader Dialogue Guest, Founder of Xingyuan Technology. No, name, President Shun. I've confirmed. With the organizing committee, your identity will be revealed the moment you step on stage. The big screen, the live stream, the venue's audio system. All synced. Good. Shouting speeches. Scheduled for 1 o'clock. Your segment is at 2. There's an hour in between. An hour is enough. I walk into the VIP lounge. The moment the door swings open, 30 or 40 pairs of eyes turn toward me. Executives from major companies, investors, tech leaders. Many of them I know, but today, no one recognizes the man in the suit because the Shinicuan they know always wears a plaid shirt and a plain black rim glasses looking like a fresh out of college coder. I take a seat in the corner. Lin Hao hands me a glass of water. Xuan Gunningwei has arrived. Where? Front row of the main hall. Xiao Xian is sitting next to her. How does she look? Hard to tell from here, but she keeps checking her phone. Seems restless. So she did receive the anonymous letter last night. But judging by the fact that Xiao Ming, Xian is still sitting boldly beside her, she didn't believe it. Or maybe she did, but didn't have enough time to react. Either way, it doesn't matter. In the next few hours, everything will come to light. The morning agenda is uneventful. A few round discussions, a couple of tech demonstrations, nothing out of the ordinary. I stay in the lounge the whole time, drinking 3 cups of coffee and reading 2 industry reports. 12:30 p.m. Lunch break. I skip the main dining hall and have Lin Hao buy me a sandwich. Suchi comes over from the venue and sits beside me. Everything's set. The live stream platform has confirmed the sync. Signal. Estimated online viewers exceed 1 million. Good. Fun. He has prepared an opening video 3 minutes long covering Xingyuan's journey from its founding to today. The data and visuals have been double-checked at the end of the video. The last frame is your photo. The one taken in the lab wearing a white lab coat. Change it to what? Use the one from the wedding year. Suchi pauses. The wedding year. Yes, at the Gu family's wedding. I was wearing a rented suit, standing in the corner. All the guests were watching Gu Yinwei. No one noticed me. There's a panoramic photo taken by the media with me in the corner. You want to use that one? Yes. Let everyone see clearly that the inconspicuous person in the corner is the founder of Starbis, the one there, giving a grand welcome to today. Suchi stared at me for several seconds, then smiled. You're ruthless. It's not ruthlessness. It's that the 3-year debt is due for settlement. 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Xiao Mingguan's speech began. I watched the live stream on a screen in the lounge area. He wore a meticulously tailored black suit with a wine red tie, standing at the center of the main stage, brimming with confidence, distinguished leaders, honored guests. I'm Xiao Ingxian, Vice President of the GU Group. Today, I'd like to share a topic with you, the path to breakthrough for young entrepreneurs. Applause erupted from the audience. I saw Gun, Inwi sitting in the front row, center seat, her expression calm, but her fingers repeatedly rubbing the edge of her phone. Xiao Mingxian spoke eloquently, from personal experiences to industry trends, from technological innovation to business strategy. Every keyword hit the mark. Independent Rand core technology, disruptive innovation. When he mentioned Independent Rand, he emphasized a major project. The GU Group was advancing the Smart City project. We're collaborating on with Gaian Technology. All core technologies come from the GU Groups. Independent Rand. This represents a breakthrough by young Chinese entrepreneurs in cutting-edge technology fields. I paused, coffee cup in hand. Independent Rand. He had the nerve to say those words. The speech lasted 40 minutes. The applause was unrelenting. At 1:50 p.m., Xiao Mingxian bowed and stepped down. The host walked up. Thank you, President Xiao, for that brilliant sharing. Next, we move to the most anticipated segment of today's summit, Industry Leaders Dialogue. The atmosphere in the room shifted. Noticeably, everyone sat up straight in the venue of 2,000 people. It was so quiet you could hear the hum of the air conditioning. Over the past 3 years, a company has risen at lightning speed, from nothing to a valuation exceeding 50 billion. Its name is Star Abyss Technology. On the big screen, Star Abyss's logo lit up. But the biggest mystery about this company isn't its technology or its market value. It's its founder. For 3 years, no one has ever seen the founder's true face. A murmur rippled through the audience. Today, on the stage of the May 4th Youth Innovation Summit, this mysterious founder will make their first public appearance. I stood up, adjusted my suit. Suchi patted my shoulder. Go. I walked out of the lounge area, heading down the corridor to the backstage entrance of the main stage. Fong, he was waiting at the entrance, handing me a small earpiece. The video is ready. The moment you step on stage, it plays. Good. I stood behind the curtain. The stage lights ahead were blindingly bright. The host's voice echoed. Let's give the warmest welcome to founder of Star Abyss Technology. Thunderous applause. I took a deep breath. Then I stepped onto the stage. 2.000 pairs of eyes locked onto me. In that instant, I saw a Gun Inwis expression in the first seat of the front row. Her face shifted from a polite smile to confusion, then disbelief. Then her lips trembled. She recognized me on the big screen. The 3-minute opening video began to play. Star Abyss Technologies journey from a garage to 4 global Randy centers, from a team of 3 to 5.000 employees, from the first line of code to a market value of 50 billion. The final frame of the video, a panoramic photo from that wedding, a hall full of guests, clinking glasses, Goni standing at the center, surrounded by her family and friends. In the bottom left corner of the frame, a young man in an ill-fitting suit, head down, staring at his phone, almost cropped out. The Camera slowly zooms in it, closes in on the young man's face. Then, the face and the photograph and me, standing on stage, side by side. The entire venue erupts, not the polite kind, of gasps. It's genuine. From the gut, an uncontrollable shock. That's Shinichuan, the former son-in-law of the Gu family. Wait, didn't he leave with nothing? He's the founder of Xingyuan. No way. The noise surges like a wave. I stand on stage, waiting for their clamor to settle. Then I speak. Hello, everyone. I am Xingyuan. My voice through the sound system drowns out all the noise. You might know another version of me. The live-in son-in-law of the Gu group. A transparent man clocking in from 9 to 5. A loser who was kicked out with nothing 3 days ago by his ex-wife. The audience falls completely silent. But today, I want you to meet the real me. I raise my hand, pointing at the big screen behind me. Xingyuan Technology was founded 4 years ago. I am the sole founder. Currently, the company is valued at 513 billion yuan with world-leading AI chip, technology and IoT solutions serving 400 million users globally. The crowd is dead quiet, and the reason I hid my identity for 3 years is I look toward the front row. Xiaoing's face has already turned pale. Gun Yenwis. Hands are trembling because some people exploited my trust and stole the technology that rightfully belongs to Xingyuan. The big screen switches. A key page from the first document appears. A patent infringement comparison table. On the left, Xingyuan's patent certificate. On the right, the proposal document GU Group submitted to Guyan. Technology, the same technical. Architecture, the same parameter. Settings, even the chart layouts are identical. The only difference, the inventor column Xingyuan's patent. Reads Shinichuan GU Group's proposal. Reads GU Group RAND Department. These 2 core IoT patents were personally designed by me 3 years ago. The patent rights belong to Xingyuan Technology, but over the past year, they were stolen from Gu Group's technical archive, repackaged and inserted into a bid proposal worth tens of billions. The venue explodes again. Journalists frantically raise their phones and cameras. I don't look at Xiaoming Xian, but I know his expression right now must be priceless. I'd like to ask Mr. Xiaoming Xian a question. My voice is calm and flat just now on stage. You said Gu Group Smart City Projects. Core technology all comes from independent RAN on the big screen. A video clip from Xiao Mingguan's speech 10 minutes ago plays back exactly as he said it. The original holder of these patents is sitting right in front of you. Can you say it again? All from independent RAND. 2.000 pairs of eyes in. The venue all turned to Xiaoming Xian. His mouth opens and closes. Opens and closes. Not a single word comes out. Guy suddenly turns to him. Xiaoming Xian, is what he said true? Sweat pours down Xiao Mingwen's forehead. Nai, let me explain. Is it true or not? This is the first time I've seen Guy lose control in public. Xiao Mingzhen stands up. This isn't what you think. Those patents, the ownership of those patents is disputed. You can't just take his word for it. Disputed? I cut him off from the stage. The patent office records show these 2 patents were filed on June 17th, 3 years ago, and approved on December 3rd, 3 years ago. Your technology innovation acceleration plan started last March. You're using someone else's patents, approved 9 months prior, to pad your own achievements, and you call that disputed. Xiaoing's face turns a shade of pig liver. You're slandering me. Slandering you. I pulled a USB drive from my pocket and held it up. On this, drive, or the original files saved by Chen Wei, former head of the Corporation Tech Department. Revision, history, timestamps, operation logs, every entry verifiable. The night your people changed the inventor's name from Shinikyuan to Goo Corporation Rand. Department at 11:37 p.m. The IP address traced back to your personal office. The entire venue gasped. Xiaoing's legs were trembling. He instinctively looked at Gun Yanniai. She didn't look back. She was staring at the comparison document. On the big screen, her face pale as death. Shinikyuan. She stood up. Her voice. Why didn't you say something sooner? I looked at her across the distance of 2.000 people across 3 years of silence and misunderstanding across a signed divorce agreement. Because you wouldn't have believed me. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Just like that anonymous letter last night. You received it, but you didn't believe it. The fact that Xiao Mingxian is still sitting next to you right now is proof. Enough. All eyes in the venue turned back to Gownie. Her face flushed from white to red, then back to white. Beside her, Xiao Mingxian was in full panic. Suddenly, he shoved his chair back and hurried toward the side exit of the venue. President Xiao, leaving so soon. My voice echoed through the speakers, reaching every corner of the hall. He froze mid-step. Today's summit is co-hosted by you. The speech was your request, and every word you said on stage was your own. Now that the evidence is out, you want to walk away. Xiao Zhen turned around, forcing an ugly smile onto his face. Shinikyuan, none of this has been legally verified. Yet, doing this in a public setting, that's defamation. I'll sue you. What a coincidence. I pulled another document from my pocket. The legal team at Xing Yuan Technology filed a patent infringement lawsuit with the Jiangqin Intermediate People's Court yesterday. It was accepted for filing this morning. The case number is right here. I held up the acceptance notice, the camera clearly capturing the red stamp on it. You sue your way, I'll sue mine. See you in court. Xiao Ming's smile shattered. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. He turned, pushed open the side door, and practically ran out of the venue in the 2.000 person hall. Silence reigned for a full 5 seconds. Then applause. No, one knew who started it. From the third row like a lit fuse, it exploded rowby. Row, the entire venue thundered with clapping. I stood on stage. No, thanks. I only looked in one direction. The seat in the middle of the front row. Gun Yenwei's spot empty. She had left, sometime without anyone noticing. The second half of the summit turned into an impromptu press conference for Xing Yuan Technology. Fong Hai took over media relations after I stepped down. The tech team showcased mass-produced samples of the next-generation AI chip. Suchiaz, co-founder, gave interviews to 3 financial media outlets. I returned to the VIP lounge and closed the door. Lin Hao handed me a glass of warm water. Brother Chuan Xiao Mingxian bolted, but his phone's off. Chun Yan asked if we should notify the Economic Crime Unit. Do it now. Not now. Give him 1 night. He can't run far. His passport was flagged for restricted exit 2 days ago. Lin Hao froze. When did you? I had Chung Yen file a formal request with the Public Security Bureau last week on suspicion of commercial crimes. It was approved yesterday. Brother Chuan, you planned every step. Not planned, just saw too much over 3 years and thought too clearly. My phone buzzed. An unsaved number. I answered. Shirkwan. It was Gun Yenwi's voice completely. Unlike her daytime silence, her voice now sounded as if it had been dredged from ice water. Where are you? Not important. I need to talk to you. I can guess 8 out of 10 things you're about to say, so don't bother. You think you know everything. I know Xiao Ming. Xian is a parasite. I know he exploited your trust and bled nearly 200 million from the Gu Group. I know he stole Xing Yuan's patent to snatch a major deal from the International Alliance. I know you were kept in the dark. A long silence hung on the other end of the line. You knew all this and you never said a single word to me in 3 years. If I had said it, would you have believed me? Your brother called me a good for nothing in front of a full table, and you sat there without a word. Your mother told me to pour tea for the guests, and you said he has nothing else to do at home anyway. Xiaoming Xian texted you late at night to discuss work, and you told me to sleep early and not wait for you. I. You never treated me as an equal in your eyes. I was a charity case, a face saving prop for your social occasions. An outsider you graced with a job and a home. If that's how you felt, why did you marry me? Why endure 3 years? Because I thought you would change. I paused for 2 seconds. Now I know you won't. So you spent 3 years quietly building a 50 billion empire, then blew everyone up at the summit, including me. I didn't blow you up. I blew up Xiaoling Zhen. What's the difference? The whole world saw it. I, Gu, had a thief by my side and a hidden billionaire as my ex-husband. What am I? Now, a joke. You're not a joke. You're a victim, but you refuse to admit it. I don't need you to define what I am. Her voice shot up. Shinicuan, if you had an ounce of respect for me, you wouldn't have done it this way. You could have told me in private, given me the evidence to handle it myself, instead of doing it in front of 2.000 people and a million online viewers. I tried. I cut her off. Last night's anonymous letter. That was my chance for you. The breathing on the other end abruptly stopped. That was you. You received the evidence of the fund chain, the detailed budget embezzlement, the reminder that you should look at the people around. You, what did you do? She said nothing. You did nothing because you didn't believe it, or you did, but you didn't want to face it. You don't know how sudden that letter came. I didn't have time. From when you got the letter to the start of the summit, there were 12 hours. You could have called in legal overnight to verify. You could have suspended Xiaoling speech. You could have done a lot of things, but you chose to act like nothing happened. Silence. Long silence. Guy Yanni, one last thing. Go ahead. You're a very capable person with the Gu Group in your hands. As long as you cut out the cancer that is Xiao Ming Xian, it can still thrive. But your biggest problem isn't misjudging Xiao Ming Xian. Then what is it? It's that you're too convinced that you're always right. I hung up, turned off my phone, sat by the window at Langyu Bay, gazing at the nightscape of Jiangqing. The lights blazed brilliantly, but none of it had anything to do with me. I just wanted a good night's sleep for the first time in 3 years. I didn't have to wait for anyone to come home. May 5th, the aftermath of the summit was just beginning. All mainstream media's front page headlines. 50 billion mysterious. Founder revealed. The former son-in-law kicked out of the Gu Group. Xing Yuan, technology founder publicly accuses. Patent theft. Gu Group VP Xiao Ming Xian flees the scene. From live-in son-in-law to tech empire tycoon. Shinicuan's hidden 3 years. The top 3 trending topics were all my name. The comments section was almost unanimous. This is real youth, innovation, but the actual innovator works quietly in a corner, while a thief steals the credit and brags about it. Gowney's judgment is seriously flawed. She turns down a husband worth 50 billion to shack up with a corrupt official. Where's Xiao Ming-Xian now? Did he run? Has anyone seen him? The answer to the third comment came that very afternoon. Xiao Ming-Xian was intercepted at the airport. He tried to leave the country with a fake passport, but was caught red-handed by border control and immediately detained that evening. The Jiangqing Economic Crime Investigation Unit officially filed a case charging him with embezzlement and commercial bribery. When Cheng Yan reported the news over the phone, his tone was flat. President Shen Xiaoing. Xian has been caught. One more thing. Gun Yin we called an emergency. Board meeting of the Gu Group this afternoon. She announced the removal of Xiao Ming-Xian from all positions. Full cooperation with the judicial investigation and issued a public statement admitting to internal management lapses. She used lapses. Yes, but the statement didn't mention you or Xing Yuan. Expected. Admitting patent infringement will be handing me a knife. Her lawyers wouldn't let her do that. So what do we do? The court has accepted the case. We'll follow the procedure. No rules. All right. Also, news from Gaian Technology. Go on. They froze the cooperation negotiations with Gu Group this morning, citing significant commercial integrity issues on the partner side. And then Cheng Yan paused. Then the CEO of Gaian personally called Xing Yuan asking if we're interested in taking over this smart city project. I smiled. A $10 billion deal. It was always meant to be Xing Yuan's. Now it was just returning to its rightful owner. Tell Gaian we're interested, but the proposal needs to be redone. No patchwork from Gu Group. Show them our complete plan. The one I spent 4 years refining in the lab. Understood. And bring Chenwei back. Chenwei, the former tech director at Gu Group. Yes, he's a good engineer. Wasted a year by Xiaoings and asked if he wants to come to Xing Yuan. Position and salary are negotiable. All right, I'll reach out. I hung up the next 3 days. I barely left the house. Not hiding. Busy. I had to monitor Xing Yuan's chip mass production progress, adjust the Gaian project proposal, and coordinate with the legal team for the economic crime investigations evidence collection. In 3 days, I took over 40 calls, held 11 video conferences, and signed over 20 documents. I crashed on the sofa at 3 o'clock in the morning, only to be woken by phone calls at 6. But compared to the 3 years I spent at the Gohold, this kind of busyness made life feel meaningful. May 8th, someone I didn't expect showed up. It was Gun Yenchen. Gun Yen was younger. Brother, the spoiled rich kid who once pointed at my nose at a dinner table and asked, "What can you do besides relying on my sister?" He found his way to Lang Yubei on his own. I don't know how he got the address. When the doorbell hung, Lin Hao saw him on the monitor and reported to me, "Brother Chuan Gun Yenchen is here alone driving a Porsche." Ringing the doorbell let him in living room. Gun Yenchen wore a wrinkled T-shirt with dark circles under his eyes. Looking like he hadn't slept well for days, he stood at the door, sizing up the living room. Italian imported marble, floors, custom walnut furniture, and original oil painting hanging on the wall. "This house yours. How much?" "You came just to ask about the price." He took a deep breath, walked up to me. Then he bowed 90 degrees. I froze for a second. "What are you doing?" "I'm sorry." He straightened up, his face flushed red. About what happened before. "I apologize." "Which part specifically?" "Every part." He clenched his fists. "Making you be the driver. Yelling at you in public. Mocking you on social media. Every part. I leaned back on the sofa, watching him, done apologizing. Not yet. He pulled out his phone from his pocket, opened his social feed, and scrolled to the post he'd made a few days ago. Mocking me. This one. I'm deleting it. Now. He pressed delete. Then he posted a new one. I owe someone an apology. 3 years late. I was blind before. Won't happen again. He turned the phone screen toward me. Is that enough? To be honest, I was a bit surprised. I thought Yen Chin was the type who'd never admit. He was wrong. Did your sister send you? No, she doesn't know I'm here. Then why? Are you here? He gave a bitter smile. Because I watched the summit video 17 times over the past 2 days. Every time I watched it, I felt more like an idiot. Good that you know. Shinikyuan. I just want to ask you one thing. Go ahead. These past 3 years when we were bossing, you were around every day. What did it feel? Like inside? I thought about it. Nothing. Much. How could it feel like nothing? Because your opinions were never within the scope of what I care about. He froze for a moment, then the bitter smile turned into a genuine one. All right, I am convinced. He turned and walked to the door, then stopped. I don't know what's going to happen between you and my sister, but I want to tell you something. After Xiao Mingxian was arrested, my sister didn't leave her office for 3 days. She didn't cry, but her eyes were red. I didn't say anything. It wasn't because of Xiao Ming. Yen Yenchin looked at me. It was because of you. The door closed. He sat on the sofa, not moving for a long time. Lin Hao handed me a cup of tea, saying, nothing. Should I care? No, but if I truly didn't care at all, why did I choose to send that anonymous letter 24 hours in advance instead of just 1 hour? Forget it. Some questions don't need answers. May 10th, the negotiations between Stellar Abyss and Gaian. Technology officially began. This time, it wasn't a patchwork plan like Showing, cobbled together from stolen patents. It was a complete technical system that Stellar Abyss had independently developed over 4 years. The negotiations took place at Stellar Abyss's changing headquarters. It was also the first time I walked through the doors of my own company as its founder, in broad daylight. Before I'd always come quietly after 9 at night and leave. Before dawn today in broad daylight, through the front entrance. The receptionist saw me and her eyes went wide. Mr. Shun, hello. In the elevator, I ran into a few engineers from the RAN department. The moment they saw me, they didn't know what to do with themselves. These people had only ever heard my voice through internal emails and encrypted video conferences. They'd never seen me in person. Mr. Shun, hello. I'm Li Wei from the algorithm team, the model optimization plan you mentioned in last month's internal email. We've got it running. Good. Send me a report later. Yes, of course. I reached the top floor. Fong. He was waiting at the conference room door. Mr. Shingayan's team has arrived. CEO Udashang is leading them in person with 4 others. Good. I pushed open the door. Yud Shang was a man in his early 50s with 20 years in the tech industry and a sharp eye for business. The first thing he said when he saw me was, Mr. Shun, I watched the live stream of that speech you gave at the May 4th summit. To be honest, it was more effective than any business plan I've ever seen. Which part was effective? Your ex-wife's expression. He smiled and extended his hand, looking forward to working together. I shook it, looking forward to it. The negotiations lasted the entire day. Technical plan, implementation schedule, budget, framework, profit distribution. Every Item was calculated down to 2 decimal places at 6 o'clock in the evening. Both parties signed a letter of intent for cooperation. Total project amount 123 billion. That's 23 billion more than the version Goose had originally negotiated, because our plan was more complete, more advanced, and more executable than the one they stole after signing you. Zhang took a sip of tea and said, President Chun, there's one thing I don't understand. With your skills, why did you become a live-in son-in-law at Goose? Back then? Because at the time I thought it was worth it. And now I think 3 years bought me a clear head, not a loss. Yudang glanced at me and didn't press further. After seeing off the Gaian team, Suchi was waiting in the hallway. 12.3 billion. Beautiful. Not bad. What's next? Chip mass production. Starts next month. The Gaian project kicks off in 2 months. Xing Yuan's focus for the second half of the year is these 2 things. And Xiao Mingwen's case. Legal is following up. The Economic Investigation Unit is also looking into it. All the necessary procedures are in place. What about Goose? I looked at him. What do you mean? You signed with Gaian, which is basically stealing their lifeline. Project. Their stock has been dropping for 4 days straight. It fell another 8% at today's close. If it keeps falling, not my problem. Really, not your problem. Suchi, if you have something to say, just say it. He leaned against the hallway wall. I'm saying you claim you don't care, but every move you make, leave some leeway. At the summit, you only set off the first bomb. You didn't expose Xiao Mingwen's funding issues. On the spot, you sent Gun Yenin anonymous letter in advance. You even had legal only Su Xiao Mingxian personally in the complaint without naming Gu's group as a co-defendant. I didn't respond. If you really didn't care about Gu survival, you could have sued them, too, with Xing Yuan's evidence chain. Goose would have to pay at least 2 billion in damages. That wouldn't make sense. Why not? Because Goose is a livelihood of 30.000 people. Those 30.000 people didn't steal my patent, didn't embezzle my money, didn't call me a loser at the dinner table. I settle scores with whoever I have a grudge against. I don't do collective punishment. Suchi stared at me for a long moment. Fine, your call. But let me remind you, Gun Yani won't. Thank you for going easy on her. That woman's pride is sky high. The more leeway you give, the more she'll feel like she's being pitted. I know, then, why do it? It's not for her to see. It's for me to see in how you live and act. You have to be able to live with yourself. Suchi spread his hands. Whatever you say, I'm heading back to San Francisco. Call me if anything comes up. All right. Safe travels. He took 2 steps, then turned back. Oh, by the way, Chunwei agreed to join Xing Yuan. He starts next Monday. Fong Hai is arranging his workstation. Good. Give him a nice spot, the one by the window. After seeing Su Chi off, I returned to the office. It was already 8 o'clock in the evening. On the desk was a craft paper envelope. Lin Hao said someone had dropped it off half an hour ago. No, signature. I opened it. Inside was only one thing, a photo, the wedding photo from 3 years ago. Not the panoramic shot the media took, but a close-up I'd never seen before. Someone had snapped it secretly at the wedding. In the photo, I was wearing that ill-fitting suit, standing in a corner of the banquet hall, looking down at my phone. The screen showed an email. Zenda Cheng. Yen. Subject. Xing Yuan's first chip. Tape out successful. On the back of the photo, there was a handwritten line. So, You weren't looking at your phone. You were looking at your whole world. I recognized the handwriting. Gons, I put the photo back in the envelope. I put it at the very back of the drawer. No. Reply. May 15th, Showing's case took a new turn. The economic crime. Investigation revealed that the funds he transferred through shell companies weren't 130 million, but 270 million. Double the data I had before. The extra portion was hidden in another system. The overseas subsidiary accounts of the GU Group. This meant Xiao Mingwen's reach went deeper than anyone imagined. He didn't just steal Xingyuan's patents and embezzle the GU Group's money. He was also trying to transfer the GU Group's overseas assets into his own name if he had another 6 months. The GU Group's overseas operations might have been hollowed out when Chung reported the investigation results to me. His tone was heavy. President Chun, the Economic Crime Unit already has this. New evidence. Xiao Mingwen's charges might escalate from embezzlement to fraud and misappropriation of funds with an exceptionally large amount. How long could he get? The lawyer says based on the amount and circumstances at least 10 years. That's enough. One more thing. Go on. Guy today sent a formal letter to Xingyuan's legal department through her lawyer. What's the content? She formally apologized to Xingyuan on behalf of the GU for the patent infringement. She also stated willingness to bear all infringement compensation with the amount set by Xingyuan. No upper limit. No upper limit. Her exact words. I put down the documents. No upper limit. That sounded like something Gun Yenny would do. She was never stingy. Once she confirmed she was wrong, she'd clean up in the most straightforward way. But the problem was no amount of money could change what had already happened. Replied to her lawyer. Assess the compensation amount based on industry standards. Not too much, not too little. Also, add one sentence to the reply letter. What? The core of this case isn't money. Just that one sentence. Just that one sentence. May 20th, Xingyuan's first batch of AI chips officially came off the production line. Yield rate 97. 3% exceeded expectations. I stayed on the production line the entire day from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Fawn High, and the tech team took shifts to rest. It wasn't that I wasn't tired. It was that I had waited too long for this chip. 4 years from drawing the first architecture diagram to holding the physical product today. Over 1.400 days and nights. 400 days and nights of playing deaf and dumb at the GU family's place, then rushing to the lab late at night to track progress when the first package chip lay in my palm, smaller than a fingernail, yet heavier than the entire GU group. President Shun Fong, he walked over. Orders from initial clients are already booked 3 months out. Estimated revenue for the first year. How much? Conservative estimate, $8 billion. I place the chip back on the tray. Keep monitoring production capacity. Don't loosen quality control. Understood. That night, back at Liu Bei, standing in front of the bathroom mirror, my clothes still carried the disinfectant smell from the production line. The person in the mirror looked more than a decade older than 3 years ago, but the eyes were bright. I changed clothes and collapsed onto the bed. My phone lit up. A WeChat message from a number I had deleted, but I remembered the last digits. Go on, Yini. I heard your chip went into production today. Congratulations. Followed by another line. If I had known what you were doing 3 years ago, I wouldn't have signed that agreement. I stared at it for 10 seconds. No reply. I turned the phone face down and turned off the light. The Moonlight outside the window was very bright. It shone on the ceiling like a thin layer of frost. I closed my eyes. The last thought in my mind wasn't her, wasn't Xiao Ming Zen, wasn't that $10 billion deal. It was 4 years ago in a rented room, the night I drew the first chip architecture diagram on my computer screen. The lines on the screen were a chaotic mess, ugly as sin, but I knew it would work. That feeling more real than all the apologies and regrets in the world combined. June, the Xiao Ming Xian case officially entered trial. Proceedings, the prosecution's indictment was 120 pages long. Charges included embezzlement, misappropriation of funds, commercial bribery, and forgery of commercial documents. The amount involved 274 million yuan on the day of the trial. I didn't attend. Chan Zhen went and relayed a few details to me afterward. Xiao Mingwen's lawyer entered a plea of not guilty, claiming all fund operations had internal approval processes from the GU group, and Xiao Mingxian was merely an executive. What did the judge say? The judge asked him to produce the approval documents. He produced three. Two of the signatures were forgeries. Handwriting analysis results were presented in court. What about the third? The signature was Gan Wei's. I paused. Really? The analysis confirmed it was genuine, but the document was titled First Phase Budget Approval for the Technology Innovation Acceleration Plan, with an amount of only 30 million yuan. On the basis of this document, Xiaoing Xian privately added 170 million yuan, with no one signing off on the additional portion. So Gun Yenny did sign off on the first amount, but she was unaware of the subsequent funds. How did the court rule? The prosecution holds Gun Yinhui responsible for managing the first 30 million yuan, but does not consider her an accomplice. Xiao Ming's private edition was entirely his own act. Has a verdict been reached? Not yet. The next hearing is at the end of the month, but the prosecution recommends a sentence of 12 to 15 years. 12 to 15 years. Enough. I turned to look out the window. The sky over Jiangqing was a clear blue, the June sunlight striking the glass curtain wall and reflecting a blinding glare. Cheng, Yan, yes. What about the civil lawsuit? For patent infringement? GU Groups. Lawyer submitted a settlement proposal. Last week, the compensation amount. How much? 280 million yuan, calculated based on the industry standard we proposed. Accepted outright. No negotiation. That figure is reasonable. Take the money and this matter is closed. Understood. Also, after the settlement agreement is signed, don't issue any public statements. Keep it low-key. Why? Because GU Group stock price has already dropped by 30%. If the media stirs things up again, 30,000 employees won't see their year-end bonuses. Cheng. Yin was silent for a few seconds. President Chun, sometimes I feel like you treat GU Group's people better than your own. It's not about treating them well. It's about having principles in how I operate. Got it. July. Xing. Yuan's chip production lines were running at full capacity. The first batch was shipped to 3 international clients, an American internet giant, a European automaker, and a Japanese consumer electronics company. The total contract value locked in 27 billion US. At the same time, the Gaian Technology Smart City project officially launched. Xingyuan as the core technology provider deployed a 50-person engineering team. I visited the project site twice a week to oversee the technical implementation details. Busy, but it was a satisfying busyness. Shaney adapted quickly at Xingyuan. His technical foundation was solid, and he was a down-to-earth person. Soon, he became a key member of the IoT division. One day at lunch, I ran into him in the cafeteria. He carried his tray over, hesitated for a moment, and sat down. Across from me, President Shun. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. Back when you were at Goo Group, when you shared those technical directions with us, was intentional? What do you mean? Did you deliberately leave some clues? Waiting to see if anyone would steal them? I put down my chopsticks and looked at him. Chenny, do you think I'm that kind of person? He thought for a moment, then shook his head. No, I was genuinely sharing at the time because I believe that good technology shouldn't be locked away in one person's mind. Only by letting more people join the discussion could we find the optimal solution. I never imagined someone would steal it. I'm sorry. What do you have to be sorry for? You're the victim who was driven out by Xiaoing Zhen. I mean, sorry for not stepping forward to expose it sooner. You did expose it and you got fired. That's enough. He lowered his head and ate his meal in silence. Halfway through, he looked up again. Mr. Sean, do you know what's been happening with the Goo Group lately? Not really. Why, a former colleague told me that gun. Yin Wei conducted a thorough internal audit. Xiao Mingguan's entire team was purged and the tech department was rebuilt from scratch. She also restructured the entire management framework herself. And then she made 3 trips to the capital, apparently looking for new partners. I heard it's been rough. Xiaoing scandals spread through the industry, and many companies are wary of Goo Group's credibility. I said nothing. One more thing. Go on. At the May 4th summit, that wedding photo you put up, Guy later tracked down the photographer who took it. I heard she paid a hefty sum to buy back the negative. What does she want? The negative for? No idea. Got it. Eat. Up. Chenny, stop talking. I went back to my shredded pork with garlic sauce. The taste was mediocre, but it beat the Goo family dinners. At least no one was asking me what else can you do besides eat. August Xiaoming's first trial. Verdict was announced. 13 years in prison. No parole. No commutation. The day the news broke, it trended across the internet again. Xiao Mingxian is finished. How will Goo Group survive? The son-in-law's rise from being mocked to a $50 billion empire. Shinikyuan. I'm not anyone's accessory. I turned off all news notifications. Didn't want to look. Not because I didn't care, but because the rise those headlines described wasn't the narrative I wanted. I didn't rise. I just returned to the position I was always meant to be in. Mid-August, an unexpected call. Guy Yanwi's mother, Shang Liwa, the woman who once had me pouring tea and fetching water. The number was unfamiliar. I only recognized her voice after answering. It sounded 10 years older than I remembered. Echuan, she called me by my name for the first time. Not sure Ao Shan, Mrs. Kinjen. I know you don't want to hear me out, but I have to say something. Go ahead. These 3 years, the way I treated you was wrong. Her voice trembled. I admit I looked down on you from the start. I thought Nyan marrying you was lowering herself. That you weren't good enough for her. You're right. I really wasn't good enough. That's not what I meant. What I mean is, given the situation at the time, your judgment wasn't wrong. A man without a prominent background holding a sneaker at the company, he truly wasn't worthy of the Goo family's eyes. But the facts proved you misjudged. But that's not your fault. I deliberately made you misjudge. Silence. On the other end of the line, Mrs. Jang. I don't hold grudges about the past. If you want to apologize for what Nin Chan said, he already did. You don't need to. Repeat it. I'm not apologizing for Nienshin. I'm apologizing for myself. No need for that either. Juan, Mrs. Jang. Apologies like this only need to be said once. Say it too much and it becomes another form of demanding. She was silent for a long time. You and Inwei, is there still a chance? No. What if? No. What ifs? Goodbye, Mrs. Jang. I hung up, picked up the coffee on the table, and took a sip. It was cold. September in Jiangqing. Autumn skies were high and clouds were thin. Starverse Technologies' valuation had been set at 68 billion yuan in the latest funding round. In less than half a year, it had climbed from 50 billion to 68 billion. Global shipments of its chip business had surpassed 10 million units. The first phase of the National Alliance project was progressing smoothly, and the pilot zone for the Smart City had already begun operations. As for the GU Group stock price after hitting rock bottom, it had slowly rebounded by 15%. There was no collapse, no bankruptcy. The jobs of over 30,000 employees were saved. Gunway spent 3 months cleaning up the mess Xiaoxian had left behind. She cut all opaque outsourcing projects, restructured the management team, and personally took charge of both the technology and finance departments. The industry's verdict was, Gun Yin we may have misjudged Xiao Mingxian, but her own abilities are solid. When I saw that comment, my only thought was she should have been doing this all along. It was just that Xiao Mingxian had been in the way before, making her lazy at the end of September. An invitation was sent to Starverse headquarters, not addressed to the company, but to me personally. Sender Zanking Young Entrepreneurs Association content, inviting me to attend the industry gala on October 1st and receive the annual Most Influential Young Entrepreneur Award. Lin Hao asked if I was going. Yes, Schwanu. I checked the guest list for that gala. Over 200 people. Among them is Guy. How did you know? She's the vice president of the Jiang Qing Young Entrepreneurs Association. She can't miss an event like this. Then, you're still going. Why not? I'll accept my award. She'll do her vice president thing. We'll each mind our own business. October 1st, National Day. Jiang Grand Hotel. The gala. Over 200 prominent figures from Jiang Chang's business world gathered together. When I arrived, the hall was already half full. Wearing a custom-tailored suit and a watch that was understated but instantly recognizable to insiders, I walked down the red carpet. People on both sides automatically cleared a path, not because they feared me, but because in everyone's eyes, I was no longer that Gu family's Livian son-in-law. I was Shai Chuan of Starverse Technology, the helmsman of 68 billion. I took my seat, front row, right side, third seat from the left, Gun Yanii. She wore a navy blue gown, her hair pinned up, revealing a slender neck. Her makeup was exquisite, her expression calm. When her gaze swept over, it paused on me for less than a second, then it moved away. Throughout the entire gala, we didn't exchange a single word. The award segment, annual Most Influential Young Entrepreneur, Shai Chuan. Amidst applause, I walked up to the stage. The trophy was made of crystal heavy. The host asked me to give an acceptance speech. Holding the trophy, I looked out at the over 200 faces in the audience. Many of them I had met at various events over the past 3 years. Some called me little, shunned to my face and kept man behind my back. Others deliberately got me drunk at banquets to watch me embarrass myself. Some shared the news of me being kicked out with nothing on their social media, complete with laughing emojis. Now they all sat below, looking up applauding. I held the trophy and said 3 sentences. Thank you for this award. But I don't think I have any influence. I just made a choice to stop living by others' definitions. With that, I stepped down. The applause lasted a long time. I returned to my seat. Next, to me, an unfamiliar elderly man extended his hand. President Shun, I've heard so much about you. I'm Joe Jim from Hungai Capital. Hello, President Joe. Your chips. Our fund wants to invest in the next round if it's convenient. How about we chat another day? Okay, let Fong. He lies with your people. Good, good. He handed me his business card. I took it. That's reality. 3 years ago, these people wouldn't have given me a second glance. 3 years later, they're scrambling to hand me their cards. I hadn't changed. Just the label on me had the banquet ended. I walked out of the hotel. Entrance. The autumn night air was chilly. Behind me came the sound of high heels clicking on the marble floor. I didn't turn around. Shaichuan. It was Gunning Wei. I stopped. She walked up beside me, standing shoulder to shoulder. Both of us staring at the street ahead. Congratulations on your award. Thanks. A few seconds of silence. Did Xing Yuan receive Xiaoming's compensation? Yes. You named the Gu Group as a defendant in the settlement agreement. Thank you. No need to thank me. I told you this wasn't aimed at the Gu Group. I know. Another few seconds of silence. Busy lately. Yeah. Health holding up. Fine. I heard you live alone in Leinu Bay. A 78 million yuan house. All to yourself. Doesn't it feel empty? I'm used to it. She turned to face me for the first time under the light. I took a good look at her post-divorce appearance. Thinner. A few more fine lines at the corners of her eyes. But her gaze was far clearer than it had been 3 years ago. Shinikyuan, there's something I want to tell you face to face. Go ahead. In our 3 years of marriage, my biggest mistake wasn't making you fetch tea and water, giving you a 5.000 yuan allowance, or not speaking up for you at the dinner table. Then what was it? It was that I never once wondered what you were really thinking. I looked at her. You went to work on time every day. Never complained. Never asked for anything. Never expressed dissatisfaction. I thought you were content with the status quo, that you had no ambition. I never imagined. She paused. That behind all your silence, there was a whole world hidden. Now you know. Too late. Yeah, too late. The wind blew, stirring her hair. I'm not asking for a reconciliation, she said. I just wanted you to know if I could go back in time. I wouldn't let you stand in the corner anymore. I looked at her for a long time. Gunway, you don't need to apologize for the past. Just live the future well. She froze for a moment, then smiled. It was the first time in 3 years I'd seen her smile without that Prupe mask. A little bitter, a little relieved, a little reluctant. You, too? Yeah. I turned and headed toward the parking lot. After a few steps, I heard her say something very softly. Behind me, so faint it was almost carried away by the wind. Shitwan, you deserve someone better. I didn't look back, but the corner of my mouth twitched. Not a bitter smile, not relief, just a very calm feeling like I'd climbed over a mountain, taken one last look back, and then kept moving forward. October, November, December. Xing Yuan's pace quickened. Global chip. Shipments have passed 50 million units. The National Alliance Smart City Projects. First phase pass inspection, and the second phase launch immediately. Xing, Yuan established its second overseas. Randy Center in Silicon Valley. At year end, Cheng Yan handed me the annual financial report. President Shun, as of December 31st, Xing Yuan Technologies. Annual revenue. How much? 41 billion. Net profit, 12.7 billion. Market cap. Latest valuation, 90 billion. 90 billion. I stared at the number, doing the math in my head. Equivalent to 3.5 GU groups, or roughly 10.000 yuan earned every second during those 3 years. I was fetching tea and water at the GU house. I closed the report. What's the focus? For next year? Randy D on the second. Generation chip. Expansion of the National Alliance project and tapping into overseas markets. One more thing. What? Set up a public welfare fund. Put 1% of net profit into it every year. Funding young tech talents who have no resources but plenty of talent. 1% over. A 100 million. Yeah, call it the Spark. Plan. Good name. I started out in a rented room back then. If someone had given me a chance, a sum of money, or even just a word like, what you're doing has value, I might have saved myself a lot of deer. Got it. I'll arrange it right away. After Cheng Yan left, I sat alone in the office. Outside, the window was a night view of Jiang. Chang, a sea of lights from countless homes. A year ago today, I was drinking coconut water on a beach in Sonia. My phone showing a notification of 11 billion yuan deposited. Back then, I thought I was free. Looking back now, that was just the beginning. True, freedom isn't leaving a place that suffocates you. It's building a world where you can breathe. I turned off the office lights and drove back to Lanyu Bay. On the way, I passed Jiangwan Road. At the end of that road was the apartment Gunning Wei had written into the divorce agreement. A Riverview, property worth 30 million. It was still frozen. I hadn't fought for it. She later lifted the freeze on her own and notified me that I could take ownership. I didn't go, not out of spite, but because I no longer needed it. January, New Year, Linho organized a small company year-end party. Over 5,000 employees crammed into the hall of Jiangning International Convention Center. I spoke for 5 minutes on stage. The gist, thank you all. Keep pushing in the new year, and year-end bonuses will double. The cheers from the crowd nearly blew the roof off. After the party, I was sipping tea in the VIP lounge. Fun. Walked in. President Shun. Someone wants to see you. Who? A representative from the GU Group. Not Gun Yingwei herself. Her new vice president. A guy named Song Ming Xian. Let him in. Song Ming Xian was a sharp, efficient man in his mid-30s, direct in his speech. President Shun, on behalf of President Gun Yini, I formally propose a collaboration. What kind of collaboration? Xing Yuan and GU Group have strong technical synergy in the smart city sector. GU Group has real estate and urban operations resources. Xing Yuan has core tech. President Ge hopes to explore a long-term partnership model, not a merger, not a controlling stake, but an equal strategic alliance. Why? Isn't she here to discuss it herself? Song Ming Xian hesitated. She said she was afraid you wouldn't want to see her. I set down my teacup. Tell her 2 things. Go ahead. First, the collaboration is negotiable. Have your tech team connect with our Fong Hai, starting at the project level. Don't talk strategy yet. We'll see if it works. First, all right. And the second, if she wants to see me, she can come directly. No need to send someone ahead. Song Ming paused for a moment, then nodded. Understood. Thank you. President Shun. After he left, Lin Hao popped out from a corner. Chuang Gu, didn't you say there's no chance with her anymore? Talking about collaboration and having a chance are two different things. But you told her to come see you directly. Because I hate beating around the bush. If there's something to say it face to face. It's more efficient than passing messages back and forth. Oh, right. March, spring. Xing Yuan and Gu's tech teams completed their first round of coordination. They found a practical collaboration point in the data platform layer of smart cities. GU group handles hardware deployment for city infrastructure, and Xing Yuan handles software systems and AI algorithms. The first pilot project was selected in Janking's high-tech zone. The day the cooperation framework agreement was signed, Guy came not to Liu Bei to the Xing Yuan headquarters. She wore a simple white blouse paired with black trousers. Her hair was down, not pinned up. She looked younger than she had at last year's banquet, or perhaps more at ease. In the conference room, both teams went over the terms of the agreement, confirmed everything was correct and signed. After the signing, the others filed out one by one. Only she and I were left in the room. I leaned back in my chair. She placed the pen back in its holder. Pleasure working with you. She extended her hand. I shook it. Her hand was thinner than I remembered, but her grip was steady. Pleasure working with you. Shauna, yeah, you've changed how back when you were at the Gu family's place. You always walked with your head down. Now when you sit there, it's like the whole building belongs to you. The building does belong to me. She froze for a second. Then she laughed. It wasn't a bitter laugh or a polite one. It was a laugh of genuine amusement. You never used a joke back then. There was nothing to laugh about. She stopped smiling and looked at me. I've been thinking about something a lot lately. What if I hadn't been so proud back then? What if on the day you walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, I had taken one step after you? Just one step? Would you have stopped? I looked at her. I thought about it seriously for 3 seconds. No, a flicker of light died in her eyes because the person I was that day was already dead. The Chinicuan sitting in front of you now was rebuilt from scratch after that day. The person you were chasing, he's not coming back. She was silent for a long time. I understand. She stood up, picked up her bag, walked to the door. But you know what? She didn't turn around. That dead Chinicuan. I still think about him. The door closed. I sat in the empty conference room, looking at the chair she hadn't pushed back in. On the back rest of the chair lingered the faint scent of her blouse. It wasn't the expensive perfume from 3 years ago. It was a lighter fragrance like the spring wind. 5 years later, Xingwen Technology was listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange on IPO day. Its market cap exceeded 300 billion. I stood on the exchange's balcony, watching the numbers jump on the giant screen. Beside me were Suki Fungai, Cheng Yen, Chun Wei, and Lin Hao, the people who had been with me the longest. Suchi patted my shoulder. 300 billion. The code from that rented room back then was worth this much. It wasn't the code that was worth it. It was the nights we spent writing it. Lin Hao chimed in from the side. Shuanggu, a package arrived at the company for you today. Personal delivery. Who sent it? No sender name, but the postmark is from Jiang. He handed me a small box. I opened it. Inside was a photo, not the one from the wedding, a new one. The photo showed the smart city Pilot area in Jiang's high-tech zone. Taken at night. Brightly lit with driverless shuttle buses running on the streets in the blue light of Xingyuan. Sensors flashing on the lampposts on the back of the photo. There was only one line of handwriting. Your world is really beautiful. No signature. But I knew who it was. I put the photo back in the box and tucked it into the inner pocket of my suit jacket. My phone buzzed. It was a news alert. Goo Group. Annual report released. Market cap returns to peak. Third consecutive year of over 20% growth. Gown we selected for global top 50 women in business list. I glanced at it. The corner of my mouth lifted slightly. Then I closed the news. The bell ringing ceremony began. Walked to the center of the hall and gripped the copper hammer behind me on the giant screen. Xingyuan Technology's logo flashed against a golden background. 300 billion. It's not the end, just a new number. The copper hammer falls and the bell's echo reverberates through the entire trading floor, deafening, crystal clear, like many years ago in a rented apartment. When the first line of code ran successfully, the ding from the computer, that ding that was a true beginning of everything.